Question. Main question is, who am I?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Why am I here? And what is my purpose? Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Who am I? Why am I here? Why did I come? Why am I here? Why am I here in the world, period? Not just why am I in this class. Why in the heck am I here, period?
Yeah.
Is it the big payback or what? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is it? So ask yourself this. Who am I? I'm not talking about what you do. Why am I here? I'm not talking about just the class. And what is my purpose? So we're going to continue with the course of love. And we're going to be, we're still going through chapter 31. You are an infinite being. Having a human experience. You are unlimited. You can create whatever you want instantly. You have power beyond your wildest imagination. You are loved. You are free. You are innocent. And you're playing a game. And the game that you're playing is called a human game. And in order to play the human game, there's something that an infinite being must do. If you're going to play this game, you have to use all of your infinite power that I told you about. And you have to use all of that power to limit yourself as much as you possibly can. To forget who you are as completely as you can. To do everything in your power to be just the opposite of what you really are, so that you can play like you are this human being in competition with all other human beings trying to make it. One of the rules of that particular part of the game when you're setting it up is it'll look like things aren't going the way you want them to go all the time. It'll look like you're the victim of things outside of you. It'll look like you have no control over anything that's going on, because you're trying to convince yourself that you're not the all-powerful being that you are, so you can play the human game. When you're tired of limiting yourself and you've gotten as far into limiting yourself and forgetting who you truly are as you possibly can, you start heading in the other direction of reclaiming the power that you already have, that you've been hiding from yourself. And you start to do that after you begin to feel incomplete, like there's something missing, and a part of you feels like there must be a better way, and you truly deserve to be happy. But somebody mind closing the door and praying for her.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So when you get to the point you're ready to reclaim your power and ready to be truly happy and joyful again, you start what you call your spiritual quest. That means you're tired of the pain, you're tired of the suffering, you're tired of the lack. That was part of the way you set the game up so that you could reclaim your power after playing the human game of being separate out here in the body trying to make it. A course of love is one of the ways that you come back into the realization of your power. So if you follow the instructions in the course of love, then it allows you to get back in touch with your powerful, innocent self. That's where your joy and happiness is located. Everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
So the reason why you study books like this is so that you can get back in touch with your power and remove the blocks that's keeping you from knowing it. It's easier to destroy an old thought system that doesn't work for you than it is to build one up. So it's actually easier to let go of the thoughts we have about ourselves that's not true than it is to build up the thoughts about ourselves that's not true. We have to work really hard to screw it up the way we do it. You can't at no means call it an accident. You know, it's all part of setting the game up. And I'm gonna keep on saying it's a game. And like any game, it should be dramatic, and it should be moments of excitement and moments of tension, and I'm wondering what's going to happen next, and I'm scared half to death, and I'm excited. We do really good game playing. We're so good at it that we actually forget who we really are. We forget we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So we talked about last week that if you want to get back in touch with your potential, that the way that you get back in touch with your potential is through love and practicing living the truth. Through freeing people around you and yourself and actually living the stuff you're studying. And when you share the truth, then it teaches you who you really are. Notice that everything I told you when I first started talking about being an infinite being, I was sharing that with you, but it was teaching me who I truly am. Because every time I say that, I remember it. So every time I teach a class, I'm really remembering what I'm sharing. So I walk away from every class believing a little bit more of my infinite power and who I am. And I want to thank you for that. Because every time we come together, I get another chance to talk about something real and not about the stuff that I talk about most of the time, I hear other people talking about most of the time. So I'm really grateful that we give ourselves a chance to say something other than what we normally hear every day.
Me too. Me too.
Now, the person that gets hurt and the person that gets fooled is the same person. The person that gets hurt and the person who's deceiving themselves is the same person. So wherever you're hurting is where you are deceiving yourself the most. Wherever you're hurting is where you're lying to yourself the most. Wherever you're hurting is where you're still acting out that phase of, I'm trying to limit myself and forget who I really am. If you're truly lovable, and loving, it's impossible to be deceived. It's impossible to fool a person who's really loving. It's impossible to fool a person who's really loved. And it's impossible to fool a person who's really lovable. So if you've ever been fooled, it's when you wasn't being loving. Whenever you've been fooled, it's when you're not being lovable. And whenever you've been fooled, it's when you've forgotten that you love. Anybody getting answers to some of their problems? You can never lose, you can never forget what you gain through the practice and realization of the truth. The once you really realize the truth, you can never lose it. That's why even though we've forgotten who we really are, we couldn't lose the awareness of who we really are, because we set it up before we started playing the game that we were going to have a teacher and a guide within the game that would remind us of who we were within the game, which is what we call the Holy Spirit or our spiritual guide or whatever. So no matter how deep you get into forgetting that you are loving and loved and powerful and lovable, you set it up that there was going to be a part of you that at some point started to get you in touch with who you really are again.
Ooh, that's good news.
Well, that's what love would do. Love wouldn't leave you up the creek. You know,
All right.
Love wouldn't leave you with a way to recognize, without a way to recognize the truth about yourself.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Built
If you still want to continue to be in part one of the game, which is limiting yourself as much as you possibly can so you can have the fun of coming into your power again, then right now, you're probably not hearing much of what I'm saying. Because if you did, then you couldn't continue to limit yourself. So if you're still in the limiting phase, you're still totally innocent, but you're just setting up the game for yourself. And that's okay. Some people are busy setting up the game. And when you're busy setting up the game and you're doing part one or making yourself think that you're limited in some way, then you have to skew or distort or not hear any truth that would get you in touch with your power and who you really are. Does that everybody hear me? If you're in the first part of the game where you've totally forgotten your spiritual identity, you have to make sure you don't hear anything that reminds you of who you really are. If you're still trying to fool yourself about your power, you won't hear someone telling you that you're an infinite being and that you're powerful and that you're innocent and that you create your reality and that you could have anything you wanted, anytime you wanted it, because you are this infinitely powerful being. Okay. If you're hearing that, then you're at the point where you've limited yourself as much as you possibly can, and now you're ready to get in touch with your power again.
Indeed.
You want to play the game of knowing yourself as loving, lovable, and love. So if you are, it's impossible for you to be deceived. And the reason why it's impossible for you to be deceived is because you know everything that's happening to you is only happening to you because you're creating it.
Yeah.
So when it says it's impossible for you to be deceived, it's not talking about somebody not telling you the truth about something. What it's talking about is at no point are you saying anything that's happening to you is being created by anything other than you and your own consciousness and your own power. So a deceived person is a person that thinks things are happening to them that they have nothing to do with. A person that is no longer deceiving themselves is a person that's saying, I'm the one that's determining the way I see things, and I'm the one that's determining how I feel about things, and I'm not a victim of what's going on right now. So you can never fool a person who knows the truth. It's easy to fool people who don't, because people who don't know the truth want to be deceived. It's easy to fool somebody that wants to be fooled. It's easy to make a person feel guilty who wants to feel guilty. It's easy to make a person mad who's already mad. It's easy to make a person weary who's already a weary ward. It's easy to help a person deceive themselves in the way they want to deceive themselves. So you never lose or forget what you gain through the practice and the realization of the truth. You can never keep the real truth a secret. The next thing that the Course of Love says. You can never keep the real truth a secret. Telling the truth and thinking that you have a choice about that is an ego false concept. Ego thoughts, which are thoughts based on being separate, never share the real truth. I never believe a person who thinks they're a body, even if it seems like I do. I never believe a person who thinks they're separate from me, because I know they're deceived. I never believe a person who thinks that they always complain about what everybody else and everything else is being done to them, because they're deceived. And so when a person is deceived, you can't depend on them. And when they're deceived, they're inconsistent. And when they're deceived, they do things that create a lot of drama. So you already know from the very beginning, before you enter into a relationship with that person, that you got to be ready and looking for some drama. That you got to be wanting to go through tension and drama and processing and upset, broken into by periods where you do something cool together, broken into by another period that you're trying to fix something else. In other words, when you're talking to a person that's in phase one, a person who doesn't believe they're a spiritual being, doesn't know they create their reality, you're going to have a very dramatic experience. You can count on it. That's why you enter it.
Sure.
For all of the excitement of, do you know some people's lives are so boring that if they didn't have conflict, there wouldn't be nothing interesting happening for them?
Wow.
If you're just the average person that goes to a job that you don't like, making money that doesn't satisfy you, don't have any hobbies, anything creative that you're doing, in most cases, the only thing that people like that the only thing that gives them any kind of thrill is their special relationship. That's why they focus so much attention on their relationship, because it literally is the only thing in their life that has any kind of excitement or drama in it, or anything that makes them feel important or valuable. Or anything. Can't you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If a person is not in touch with who they really are, and they are unhappy and not thrilled in their experience, they usually use their relationship to keep things interesting, and use it as some form of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever, it doesn't matter what a person says to you that thinks that they're actually separate from you says, it's not true. If they say they love you, it's not true.
Mm-mm.
If they say that you can depend on them, it's not true.
Mm-mm.
If they say I'll always be there no matter what, it's not true.
Mm-mm.
If they say that they think they're innocent and you are, it's not true. Nothing a person who has lost sight of who they really are says is true. It's always temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Temporarily I like you. Temporarily I'm listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Temporarily I feel like I'm innocent. Temporarily I feel like I love you. Temporarily I feel like I create my reality. Temporarily I feel like I don't. Temporarily. So the ego mind never tells the truth. It's always inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
So to expect consistency out of a person who has not recognized who they really are, that's you being deceived. And so shame on you if you're getting upset about what you're receiving, because that's you deceiving yourself. And that doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily tell them anything about what you're recognizing.
They won't listen.
Awareness means aware. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to tell you what I think about your ego, because it's my ego. So all I need to do is realize that whatever I'm perceiving in you is what I need to correct in myself, and then get clear about, am I trying to set up my limitation part of my game yet, or am I ready to get in touch with my unlimited part of my game yet? Because to set the game up, it's like if you're playing bowling, they have to set the pins up. And then when they set the pins up, then you can bowl. Well, to play the human game, in order to set it up, you got to set it up by forgetting you are an infinite, powerful being, and think that you're somehow limited and that you have no power over anything, so that you can play like you really can't have what you want. And so you can have the excitement of coming into your power again, and all of the pleasure you would get out of seeing that, and experiencing your relationships transform, and experience your finances transform, and experience everything transform, because you're now trying to get in touch with who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're aware, anybody that doesn't know that they're deceiving themselves, and they're going to deceive you as part of the play.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think about that?
Mm-hmm.
What was the most challenging thing to hear about that for anybody? Yeah.
That if I'm not on that track, I'm not really taking care of my real self, am I? Or even accept that I am that real self.
Right.
Or else whatever human game I'm playing, that's what I'm doing. Period.
One of the hardest things to realize is that however anyone is treating you, whatever they are saying to you, and whatever they are doing, you are ordering them to do it. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it just the way you want it.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't realize as infinite beings, we're in telepathic communication with each other. And we are literally giving each other instructions about how to treat each other, but as part of what we need to go through to come to our realization of the truth. So literally, everything I'm saying to you right now is what you want me to say to you right now. It wouldn't matter what I said to you right now. It would be what you wanted to hear right now. That's the truth. That's deep. And then when you think about that and think about some of the things people say to you and how you experience the people around you, you'd be like, what? I can't believe I asked to be treated that way, or I can't believe I asked for somebody to say that to me. Yes, you did. That was part of the game you set up for the situations and circumstances you would go through to get back in touch with your power. you set it up that way, just like we set up the bowling pins before we bowl. And when you're ready to work up, then you're ready to own that more and more and more. Because you know the quicker you own it, the quicker you reclaim your power, and the quicker you have everything start to work out for you in miraculous ways, beyond your wildest dreams. Yeah, Debbie.
The most challenging thing for me about what you said is that when I start to realize that I've been the one that's been creating all the stuff I think I don't want, then I forget that I was innocent in doing that, and then I start to feel guilty.
Right.
That I did that.
Yes.
And then it keeps you trapped right there.
Yeah. And the way out of that is to look at it as an example of how creative you are. You know, even if it's the thing I don't like. Wow, I did a great job of creating that marriage that up in smoke. My God, how could I have been a worse husband than that? I did that really good. You know, I was a full-fledged maniac every now and then. all right. And so it's hard for people to believe, but that's how you reclaim your power from it, and that's how you keep yourself from doing it again. Is you own it, but you also don't condemn yourself for it and see it as part of the game you were playing, the first part of the game that you were playing, which was to fool yourself about who you really were before you started to realize who you really are. That's so simple that it'd probably be not something that's focused on very much, but I don't want to forget it, so that's why I'm talking about it. Because I want to remember it so I can have some miracles. Yeah.
But, well, you were saying it's so simple, but sometimes I feel like it's not. When I first started reading all this stuff, then I felt so yucky, maybe because I'm used to doing it this, like you say, playing the game, and then, so how do you get past that, or just those bits, you know, that you're
how do you get past what?
Like, you know, if it doesn't feel right, like you feel... Okay,
I'm glad you asked that. It is going to be uncomfortable.
Okay.
The discomfort is a part of the awakening, because you've hidden all your power in the situations that make you uncomfortable. That's where you've given your power away.
Oh, yeah.
So when you say you're ready to reclaim your power, then you're talking about being in the situations and circumstances that somehow you make yourself feel uncomfortable about, but this time you don't run away from it. This time you stay there, you feel all your feelings in that moment, and then you tell yourself the truth about what's really happening, and you express gratitude for yourself for being so creative to be able to make it happen in the first place. And remind yourself it's totally unreal, because who you are is an infinite being that can't be affected by anything that's going on here. So I'll say the process again. The Course in Miracles talks about that, how when you in the period of transition, that there's disorientation and confusion. And one of the things that we think is going to happen is that we're going to reclaim our power, which means going in a direction diametrically opposite to everything we've been taught. And somehow or another, we're not going to go through disorientation and confusion. Can't you see how unrealistic that is? So it's funny, but I was like that too. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do a 180-degree reversal, but I'm going to do it in total bliss without any challenge whatsoever. So what you do is you get to the point, you'll look forward to those times that you feel uncomfortable, because you know that's where some of your power is hidden, and you'll be glad to own it so that you can claim that power back to yourself again, and then watch some miracle happen in your life. So after a while it becomes, oh, you know, I'm really upset about this right now. I'm going to reclaim my power in this situation. And what I mean by reclaim my power, I'm going to feel it completely instead of running away from it. That's what I mean when I said reclaim my power. In other words, if I'm mad at you right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feel my anger and not try to get rid of it. I'm going to feel, I am really mad at Lisa right now. I really, let me see how mad I can feel at Lisa right now. Let me just see if I can feel every ounce of anger that I could possibly feel toward Lisa right now. Not try to sugarcoat it with some type of sweet, nicer thing. I'm upset. Now I'm reclaiming the power from it because I'm feeling it fully. Then the next thing I do is I remind myself that I'm an infinite being. I'm the Holy Son of God Himself. I am love. I am spirit. Okay? That's the next thing. I tell the truth about it. The truth is, and the next thing I do is I remind myself that I'm the one that's making myself mad, that I'm the one that's creating the whole thing that's going on right now, and it is not real. It is not real. It's not everlasting. It's coming from my own judgments, and that I'm innocent. That's the process. So every time you do that, you reclaimed your power because you're no longer hiding it or giving it away in that situation. And as a result, because you are more powerful, you create more powerful experiences for yourself that start to happen very naturally, very unexpectedly, to the point that it almost seems weird the way some things will start working in your life. And it'll be it's like when you see that start to happen, like I've seen it happen, you look forward to the opportunities to be honest about all your feelings instead of running away from them. So like Debbie was saying, so you don't beat yourself up about it anymore. You see it as an opportunity to reclaim your power. And you may do that. In other words, having discomfort about what you just heard was an opportunity to reclaim your power. Just by saying, I will fully feel my discomfort about what Earl just said. And then I'm going to remind myself I'm that infinite being that he was talking about. Then I'm going to express appreciation for me having the ability to create my discomfort. Because that's a symbol of my own power. I can make myself mad, and I can also see it as not real and let go of it. So then you would have taken that situation and you would have empowered yourself, and you would have a miracle happen in your life. You know, you get mad and upset about something all the time anyway. So all we do is have endless opportunities every day to free ourselves. But we don't realize that's what it is. Because if you're in phase one where you're trying to limit yourself so that you can play the game, then you're not going to say one word of truth. You're going to say, but my mama did, blah, 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 blah. And I really am bad because I did. So I hope I'm making some of you feel uncomfortable. Because what I'm doing is giving you an opportunity to reclaim your power. That's all I'm doing. And you may choose to right now, or you may not. But if you don't, it just means you're still in phase one of setting up the game, setting up the bowling pins. Some of y'all might be setting up the bowling pins in your love life. So right now you're limiting yourself and making yourself as unhappy as possible in your relationship. Some people setting up the bowling pins to play the game in their financial area. So right now their financial life sucks, and they don't have anything happening in that area. That's where you're setting up the game to come into your power of creating your abundance again from nothing. You know, I was $100,000 in debt. Now look at me, I'm a millionaire. The game. It's a game, you all. It's a game. And then some people go, well, why would somebody want to play a game where it looks like there's murder and upset and rape and attacking? There are horror movies, and then there's the sound of music. Is that not true? And some people love horror movies, and some people love family films. You might be a horror fan, and so your life is a horror. So you need to admit to yourself you're a horror movie fan. But I don't care how many times you see Jason slash somebody, you know ain't nobody died. Jason and the person he killed going out to lunch after as soon as they get a break. None of it really happening. And so what the truth is teaching us is that from the level of our true self, which is way beyond this level, from the level of our divine selves, this is the human game. Do you have to play the game? No more than you have to play tennis or basketball. Why do people do it? For the thrill of it. Because of how it makes them feel. So I'm telling you, you are here because you wanted to be and you wanted to play this game. And now you're in it. Sorry, you on the field. It's called the field, as a matter of fact. And there's a part of you outside the game that's creating everything that's happening in the game. And then there's a part of you that you injected in the game that's sitting up here that has to physically experience the game. So how are you safe in the game when you're the one that's on the field? You learn how to communicate and listen to the part of you that's outside of the game, which you call God, that's actually in control of the game. Which doesn't sit well with somebody who thinks they're on their own and that there is nothing greater than themselves. So what I'm saying is like, for anybody that thinks there is nothing greater than them. But that's good, because if you are a person that believes there's nothing greater than you and you're on your own, you're just in the setup stage, because you're going to catch hell. So you're in the setup stage. You're setting up the game for yourself. How do I know I'm setting up the game? Because I think I'm alone on my own. There's nothing greater than me, and I can just trust my own intellect, and my intellect knows everything, and I can do it all by myself. And matter of fact, this is foo-foo, airy-fairy, crazy stuff. Okay, great. You're setting it up. You're setting up the game right now. So you're going to have a lot of things that don't work and don't turn out the way you want them to, because you're trying to pretend you're limited. Your past has nothing to do with the real truth about who you really are, as created by the Creator, except whatever part of your past reminds you of the real truth of who you are. So the only thing that's real about your past are the loving thoughts in it. The only thing that's real about your past is anything that happened in your past that's helping you remember that you're powerful and innocent right now. Only the loving thoughts and experiences are really reflections of the truth. Whatever real truth you learn becomes a part of you. Transfer your feelings to the truth. In other words, start having some feelings for the truth. You know, we have some feelings about our car. We have some feelings about our weight. We have some feelings about our sex life. We have feelings about our career. We have feelings about what somebody else said, but what we tend not to do is have any kind of juice about the truth. Oh, I say you're an infinite being that's all powerful, that was created by love.
That's the reason people
I just hope I didn't forget to record Grey's Anatomy. And then at the same time, we'll have the audacity to believe we should be getting all these benefits of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I should be having this easy life. I should be surrounded by love, blah, 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 blah. And I don't have any feeling for the truth. I have no feeling. How many people would you want to be in a relationship with that
None.
you felt had no feeling for you? You wouldn't want no. So how you think you're going to have a relationship with the truth and you have no feeling for it, even if it's there?
Yeah. That's cool. That's
Wow.
Being of one mind means to be of one truth. Every lie comes from the idea that we are different and separate. Every lie comes from the idea we're different. I am setting up my game and experiencing my game and creating my game and everything that's happening in my game, and you are too. So none of us are different. I'm an infinite being, you're an infinite being. I'm love, you are love. I'm creating how I feel, you creating how you feel. We are not different at all. If I can get angry, you can get angry. If I can feel depressed, you can feel depressed. If I can hurt, you can hurt. We're not different, really. It's a lie. We're not. There's not a person in this room that can honestly tell me they've never felt afraid. There's not a person in this room that can honestly tell me they've never felt angry or guilty or insecure or sick. Not a person. If you do, nobody in this room gonna believe you, even if you said it. So the other lie is that you're different and I'm different and we're separate. Finding a variety of answers means nothing. It just means you are seeking from your ego. Change what you are looking for, and what you experience and what you learn will change. In other words, I'm looking for some innocence now. I'm looking for some power now. I'm looking for some connection now, right? So I've changed what I'm looking for. So what I experience and what I learn is changing now because of what I'm looking for. what I'm experiencing changes and what I'm learning. I'm looking for the love, to recognize my power, to know who I really am. So what I'm learning has changed and what I'm experiencing has changed. So if your experience hasn't changed, what you're looking for hasn't changed. No matter what you're telling yourself. If you still going through the same things you've always gone through, you haven't changed your mind yet. You're still setting up stage 1. I read the book. I read 2 whole chapters and my life didn't change. Well, you haven't really changed what you're looking for yet. That's what this is coming from the course of love, but it also relates to other things that I'm also studying that brings it all home. Any thoughts about any of these things that I've said? Or any questions? Or just you think it's crazy, or you think it's cool, or what you'd like to do different or see different?
I feel stuck at phase 1.5.
Okay, and what would you call phase 1.5?
I don't know, like I tried to accept that I'm an infinite being, but I'm not manifesting everything I want. Like I'm open to those ideas. I want to bring it in, but
okay. So by definition, that means you're at the beginning of being open to stage 2. Being open to stage 2 is when I go, I'm an infinite being. It looks like I haven't created what I want to create, but I really am open to the idea of getting in touch with the fact that I'm an infinite being. Most people, the furthest thing away from their mind is recognizing they're an infinite being. They're just trying to get their mortgage paid.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When you really think about the average person, if you were to try to talk to them about what I'm talking about right now, first of all, you'd be thought of as crazy. And it isn't usually the first thing that they'll tell you that they want. They'll tell you, I want to lose some weight. They'll tell you, I want to take a trip to France. They'll tell you, I want to have some fun this weekend. But they're not going to say, well, today I really was losing sight of the fact that I'm an infinite being, and I'm trying to make myself think I'm limited by focusing on all these thoughts and stuff that I've learned. And I think I'm temporary, and I want to know my total infinite innocence. Y'all know that's not what the average person is going to say to you. So anybody that would think like that would have to be someone who's getting ready to go into the phase of recognizing their power again. But the thing about recognizing your power is it's impossible for you to do it alone. You can't pull off phase 2 through your wits, through your intellect, and through you figuring it out. That's how you can't go to the next phase of recognizing your power by you guiding yourself. You guiding yourself is the way you set up the limited self. See, when you're ready to have the limited self that think is human, then you guide yourself on your own, and you figure it all out, and you make all your decisions without the truth. When you're ready to wake up to your power, you're a person who's open to surrendering to the greater self that you are, that put you in the game in the first place. It's no accident you're in the game. Somebody sent you on the field. So you need to get in touch with who put you on the field. Or like we like to put it, the dreamer of the dream.
Yeah.
Because you can't change anything from within the dream. All you can do within the dream is rearrange things. But it's the same thing. It's like a person being a prisoner in jail. Let's say he has furniture in the jail. But you're in jail, but you got a sofa. And so with your idea of making the change, our idea of making the change is taking the sofa and moving it from the south side of the cell to the north side of the cell. And then we go, I've just changed my life. That's the way we do it. We just rearrange the think about what have you done in your life that's really different. And how much have you done is just another flavor of the same thing you've always done. Which is try to figure out what's outside of myself that needs to change for me to be happy. Everything you've done and I've done has been some form of what I need to change outside of myself to be happy. That's rearranging the jail cell, you all. That's not changing anything. Nothing. That's moving the chair from one side of the cell to the other. Nothing's changed until you're out of jail. And guess what? Every time I've ever watched any prison movie, when it was time for the person to be out of jail, they came and unlocked the cell and let him out. So that which is greater than you, outside of who you think you are, that's what's going to free us. not the person in the cell. We're the part that's in the cell. And there's another part of us that's saying, you've been pardoned. We want to let you out. This is what you need to do. When I open the cell door, your butt need to walk out.
But I just got the chair on the right side.
Thank you. I just now drug the sofa over to the south side of the cell. What do you mean, walk out? That's called staying in the situation you've always been in, even though it makes you miserable.
Yeah.
But I know that he abused me every day, but Saturday he changed the channel on the TV for me. So I think I'll stay. Why? Because I saw one little slight improvement. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that right. And that's and instead of going, the truth is I'm gonna feel all of my discomfort about being in this relationship. Every bit of it. I'm gonna feel every bit of what I don't like about being here and what I think is different. What I wish was different. Then I'm gonna tell myself I'm an infinite being that's totally unlimited, that's creating this situation. I'm going to acknowledge myself for having the power to even get myself in this to begin with. And I'm going to remind myself that it's ultimately not real. It doesn't have to last if I'm willing to change my perception right now. That's how you get out of it. You don't run away from it. You admit how you feel and then own that you created it as an infinite being. Show gratitude that you even have the kind of power to create the thing that's upsetting you, and remind yourself that it's not ultimately real because it doesn't have to last forever. It's not something that you have to always continue to go through. And you reclaimed your power. You've taken all the power you put into that relationship that made you unhappy, and you pulled it back into yourself. This is how you change and allow miracles to come in your life.
Right.
We are being told how to allow the change to happen. So ask yourself right now, are you a phase 1 person or a phase 2 person? Because you know which one you are by how willing you are to try the things that you just heard. If you dismiss it totally without even trying it, you know you phase 1. You still want to do what you've always done. You do want to drag the sofa to the other side of the cell one more time. And hopefully you'll get somebody to drag it with you and call it a relationship. But make sure that you don't get somebody who sits on the sofa when you're trying to move the sofa while you're in the jail cell. Because some people get people who sit on the sofa instead of helping them lift the sofa. Hello? Because I've had relationships where I was doing a lot better without it. And then when I got in it was when I slowed down. Some people, they're speeding along and they're afraid to get in touch with their power right now, so they create a limiting relationship to set up part 1 of the human game.
Thank you.
But it's a game, y'all. It's a game. We're playing a game. We're infinite beings, seeing what it'd be like to, if we weren't infinite. What would it be like to not be infinite? I'm so infinite, let me see, what would it be like to be like in a body and look like I was born and look like I died? Do you think it's an accident that you were born in what appears to be total powerlessness and helplessness? Have you thought about that? Have you seen anything more helpless than a baby? Okay, so obviously, now think about this. So obviously, the intent was to go from total powerlessness to getting in touch with your power. Because you see it reflected in a baby. How they start out totally helpless, then they learn how to speak, and they learn how to walk, and they learn how to talk, and they learn how to write. You see it happening in a physical level. These books are just saying that's what's happening at a spiritual level. You have made yourself as helpless as a baby, and you're getting ready to come into the recognition of your power, just like a little baby does. The same analogy. That's good news. Yeah.
Oh, is this all a predestined idea too?
predestined in the sense that you set it up.
When? Oh, in another realm.
You set it up before you came into this realm.
Wow.
But in order to take it seriously, let's face it. You go to a movie. I went to see Avengers the other day. Why could I enjoy the Iron Man flying? Because I had to pretend that Iron Man could fly. It had to look like Iron Man was flying. They had to make it really look like this man was flying through the air. And if he didn't look like he was really flying, I'd go, that movie right there, phew, you could tell he wasn't really flying. Well, that's the same thing that's true about this reality. If we didn't make it seem absolutely real, then we couldn't get immersed in it. So don't be looking for this reality to prove to you that it's not real. It ain't going to prove to you it's not real any more than up on the screen they're going to tell you Iron Man didn't fly. So don't ever look for the physical world to prove to you that I'm wrong in what I'm saying. The physical world is going to prove to you that you really are limited by the physical world. That's the whole point of the game. You got to take it seriously, and you can't take it seriously unless it looks 100% real.
Okay.
And it does.
It does.
It looks 100% real. That's the only reason why we take it seriously. That's why you take a football game serious. You know it don't matter whether the Broncos win. It ain't like the Broncos lost. Suppose if the Broncos lost, all the Bronco fans died. That's the way it was set up. That if they lost, you died. Ew. It's not that way. So you know that even if they lose, big deal ultimately. You're not gonna die. It's a game. I don't care how unworthy you think you are or unloved you think you are. It ain't true. It is not true. That's just the way you playing the game. Some people are villain. Some people are the villain, the people who just do everything wrong and they're criminals and they're bad and they always hurt everybody. I don't know about you, but every movie I've ever been to that was a drama had somebody playing that role. And for some people, you are the one that's the villain.
Mm-hmm.
But you better believe you're only being the villain because they want you to be. They're requesting your villainry. Nobody's a victim of anybody. We all set it up. And anytime we want to, we can reclaim our power and allow our life to be loving, lovable, flowing, abundant, joyful. It could be everything you wanted starting today if you wanted it to be. But how do I do that? Recognize that you're an infinite being. How do I do that? Whenever you feel discomfort, feel it completely. Remind yourself that you're the one that created it. Express gratitude to yourself for even having the power that you have. And remind yourself that it's not real. It's not going to last forever. And watch yourself reclaim the power and watch this situation begin to change. It's not more complicated than that. It's only complicated when you're in phase one, because in phase one, in order to limit yourself, you have to make it seem like it's too big to handle. It's too much. It's hard. That's part of the preparing yourself for the game. So enjoy the game. You set it up. Enjoy the drama. Enjoy the excitement. Enjoy hanging off the cliff by one finger tonight. You know, enjoy if you're a drama person, you know, we're gonna have some Academy Award ceremonies in some of my class where the person can tell the story that's the most traumatic, so we can see who deserves the Course in Miracles Academy Award or the Course of Love Award, or just do it for a day. You go, oh, the day I had today, I got to get some kind of recognition for the way I wrote this day. Yeah. And when you get to the point you can look at it like that and laugh at it like that, you know you're at the point you're about to bust loose from the game of pain. So thank you for listening this much with me tonight, helping me remember together. So the way I figured, if I keep on sharing the truth at this level, I'll be in the empty room in about a month. So far, I've been very successful at decreasing the size of my class. And I'm very proud of my ability to create that. I'm an infinite being, doggone it, and I'm innocent. And I'm glad I can do it. Thank God there's the expanded self outside of the game. So, Sunday is the next course class. I want to invite you to come. If you want to get down and really have some good hardcore truth, continue to come, because I'm not taking no prisoners from here on out. Because I really want to experience the love and the peace and the power that's being promised to me by all these spiritual books. And I know it's going to take some form of commitment on my part and dedication on my part and honesty on my part to do it. So I would invite you to join me if you like. And if you don't, it'll only be because that's what I created in my game. Because in my game, everything that's happening is happening exactly the way I'm asking for it to happen. That's the way you're supposed to look at it. However many people are here tonight is how many people I asked to be here tonight within the game. That's all it means. And when you start, now I'm moving into phase 2, because I'm not seeing anybody else as being responsible for what I'm experiencing. And I'm taking credit for having created it this way as part of the strategy I set up before I entered here to recognize my power and my love. We set it up to win. Then we find out what it was we set up and how we set it up so that we can do it and have the joy. That's the way it works. And you call it getting guidance, getting enlightenment. You discovered a class, you read a book. That's you discovering your own strategy you set up to get to your happiness in the game. It's like the hints. It's like all those movies where they have, the little clues, where one clue leads you to the other clue, leads you to the other clue, leads you to the other clue, so that you can get the treasure. That's all you're doing. Everything you're going through, and especially the uncomfortable things, are nothing but the little clues to prepare you to the next clue that gets you in touch with your power. You set it up to win. You didn't set it up to lose. You set it up to win, but not quickly. Okay? Because if you did it quickly, that would be like the Broncos getting ready to play some other team. Name other team. I don't know that much about football.
Colts.
Who?
The Colts.
Okay, the Broncos getting ready to play the Colts, and everybody's sitting in the stadium, right? And we got the stadium is full, and the announcer comes out and says, the Broncos won 18-5. It's over. In other words, you want to see the game. You came there to see the four. What do they do in football? What they do?
Quarters.
4 quarters. Okay, all right.
Tight ends.
Okay, all right. Whatever. Now that I like. I can deal with the tight ends. Okay, but you understand what I'm saying? You would be disappointed because you came to see the game played, even though it could be declared a winner at the very beginning. So the fact that you are having to work through this on a day-to-day basis is part of the excitement of the game, is that we get a lifetime to watch ourselves come into our power and who we really are, and the enjoyment of that. That's the cool part. And we have guidance as to how to do it. Just like I said today. Who can tell me basically what I said the process was in dealing with any kind of situation that needs comfort to empower yourself?
It's a game.
Okay.
It's a human game.
Right.
But we also have that other part of us that is the real us.
That's right.
And what you're saying is it's an awakening to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the process is.
And and that's very true. And what did I say specifically about just uncomfortable situations or not feeling good?
Okay, so we created it.
Yeah.
And then you gotta just be there and experience the uncomfortableness.
Right.
Realize that you're an infinite being and that for some reason it had to happen like this, but then you can make it disappear just as easily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because think about it. What most of us do is avoid that stage of being fully in the discomfort.
Yeah.
We think I'm angry means let me get away from the anger as fast as I possibly can and pretend I don't feel it.
Oh.
We don't go first to, especially truth students. I'm really mad. That's what and I'm going to take it as far as I can, as far as letting myself feel it as much as I can, then tell the truth about it. So what would be telling the truth about it? telling the truth about it would be telling the truth about I'm an infinite being. It would be me saying that it's happening exactly the way that I created it to happen for the lessons I needed to learn to wake up, and that I am impressed with my ability to create things, and I know that it's not real. See, notice I said you, even if it was something you didn't like, you say, oh my God, I appreciate my ability to create this. Because if I have the ability to create this, I certainly have the ability to create something else. So acknowledge yourself for your creations, even if they're creations that you're crying about tonight. That's still an expression of your power. And you are loved. You are lovable. You are an infinite being. You are not alone. You are not a victim. You're only suffering for one reason and one reason only. Because for some reason right now, you're still setting up your game. And setting it up means it looks like you got all this stuff going on that you're afraid about, uncomfortable about, you can't handle it, and you've forgotten that you are this infinitely powerful being. So don't condemn yourself for being in the setup. That's like feeling guilty because you're setting up the bowling pins. Some people, they're in the setup stage, I don't care what they try to do, is not going to be successful. If you're in setup stage, you're going to constantly be looking like you're trying to do things with your power and it never turns out the way you want it to. You're in the setup stage of limiting yourself as much as you possibly can so that you can have the thrill of the game of coming into the realization of your power again. We're coming to wake up to who we really are. That's what all these books tell us over and over again. It's about self-realization, and that's right. But why would you need to realize yourself unless you were totally opposite to yourself? And you weren't really being yourself. There would be no need to be on a spiritual path if I already knew I was an infinite being. You see what I mean? Right. So if the mere fact that you are even trying to better yourself means you've set it up that there was something that needed to better itself. So you had to set up the pod where it looked like everything was screwed up before you can have the pod that looks like you're an infinite being. And when a person is dead set on setting up the limitation part, there is no advice they can get, there's no support they can get, there's no workshop they can go to, there's no class they can go to, there's no book that they read that's going to make their life better. Guaranteed. Because they're setting the game up. And how do you know when you're at that point? Because it looks like you got the same pattern that you've been having forever and ever. Or you're going through the same thing you've always gone through over and over and over. You're in setup. Now how do you know you might be finally ready to let go of setup? The way you would know it is you're sitting here tonight hearing what you heard. That's how you would know you may be. Because if you're not, what you're going to do is take what you heard tonight and fail at it so that you can feel like you're limited. So this will become just grist for the meal. See, I came to the class that he said I was supposed to be on the way to part 2, and I just had the worst week I ever had in my life. Well, that's just you adding this to your setup. But you cute, and you innocent, and you guaranteed to win because you're an infinite being, so you can never limit yourself forever, no matter how much you try. I'm sorry, you're going to end up happy. Thank you for coming tonight, Holy Spirit. Go out and see where you are in your setup. Go see where you at in your setup now. And if you feel uncomfortable, practice feeling it completely. Even if it was discomfort about the class.